Hey y'all, this is Timeka, the face behind Hey HR. Y'all, I have a great topic because this one is all about Boolean searches and you need to know how Boolean searches work for you. If you are like,
Timeka, what the hell is Boolean searches? What can it do for me? And where'd you make up this term?
then you need to keep watching. So let me give you the full definition of Boolean searches. Boolean searches allows you to combine words and phrases using the words and, or not, which are called Boolean operators, to limit, broaden, or define your search. So let me tell you something. Whenever someone is looking for leads for a sale, they'll use Boolean searches. Whenever someone is looking for high talent, good talent to fill a particular role, or they're having a hard time with the applicant pool, they will use Boolean searches. There are different platforms that allow you to use Boolean searches. There are different platforms that really optimize those Boolean searches. And I'm here to tell you all about how you can make Boolean searches work for you. So Boolean searches are most popular in certain platforms. And the first one, obviously you guys already know that I'm going to tell you about LinkedIn. LinkedIn uses Boolean searches to death. Some other platforms that use Boolean searches are like artificial intelligence software. So those ones like Lead IQ or Hire Tool, which is now called Hire Easy. And most times those platforms are just inundated with a whole lot of people's information. So you're like, well, Timeka, how do they get these people's information? It could be from social media platforms. It can be from when you bought something and you said, okay, I'm okay with you sharing my information with your partners. It could also be from you going out to purchase something and you create a profile from it and they decide to take that information and sell it to like a lead generation organization or lead generation database. Another place where they can get this information is from when you decide, okay, I want to put all of my information on LinkedIn so I can find a job. Then all of this information is combined, or the, artificial intelligence folks, it's almost like the gods, the data gods or what have you. They will go out there and grab this information based on the words that you put in. And then when a recruiter or a salesperson puts that information into their Boolean search, then it will populate your profile, populate your contact information so that either a recruiter or a salesperson can definitely find you. So y'all know me, I am literally only going to focus on human resources. Let's get away from the whole sales thing and let's just focus on finding a job, focus on human resources, focus on you being a top talent, focus on recruiters finding you, and let's just get away from the whole sales thing. That's what we're going to do. We're getting away from sales. So I just wanted you guys to know that HR and recruiters and talent acquisition specialists and sourcers are not the only people who use this tool. It's a highly used tool. Sometimes you guys might get phone calls for things that you're like, oh, yeah, I am interested in that. You might get a text message, you might get an email, and then you're like, how does this happen? So that's how that happens. But now let's talk about how it can work for you with you looking for a job. So in your LinkedIn profile, let's say focus on LinkedIn. In your LinkedIn profile, you would go in and you put in your personal name. You're also going to put in some catchphrases that really identifies the type of work that you do or the type of work that you're looking for. You're also going to go ahead and put in your jobs that you've worked for, and you're going to put in the duties and the job titles and everything like that. And most times you should always make sure to connect your company name with their actual profile. So when you see someone's profile that has all the company's logos down, then they've connected to their company's profile. And so when you do that, you use tons of words. And when you're doing your duties and you're saying, okay, I normally will recruit this type of way, I will normally look at this type of data, I normally use this database, I've created this from this problem and caused this action and made this result. Y'all know I like talking about the PAR method. Then guess what? Those words are used across social media platforms and other databases pick that information up. Now, when a recruiter is in LinkedIn, they're not using LinkedIn just like how you use LinkedIn. Most times they're using LinkedIn from the LinkedIn recruiter aspect. So there's a LinkedIn lead generation, there's a LinkedIn business part, there's a LinkedIn recruiter aspect. So when you decide to have your company or your company decides to purchase that as an additional tool to help you find candidates, then in the back end of that system, what we can do is say, okay, I need this type of candidate. Maybe I need a sales representative or a marketing representative, right? For lack of better words, because I can really think of some quick words that go with this one. So I'm going to use the example of a data analyst, right? Or a researcher. Kind of almost the same. They use a lot of the same tools, right? So I'm going to go ahead and put that title in. And then I'm going to say, and I need them to live in this region. And I need them to, and it could be all one box. So you have one box of ands. So you say, and I need them to live in this region. I need them to have 5 or 7 years of this experience. I need them to have used this database. So they might say, I need them to use Tableau. I need them to have used Power BI. I need them to have used Excel. I need them to have used Google Sheets. So you can put all of those in there. And then you can say, or I need them to have worked for any of these companies. So if you have competitor companies that you're always competing for the same type of business, the same type of employees, the same type of profiles, then you might put in those companies as well, right? So you put in those companies as an or you can say, and I also need them to be open to remote or open to work or what have you. So when you put in those and an or even like the quotation marks or the parentheses, then what you're doing is you're telling the system who all to pull. So let's say I just go into that system, into LinkedIn recruiter aspect, and I said, okay, I really just want a marketer. Then I'm going to end up with like thousands of names, like hundreds of thousands of profiles are going to come up. And that's what happens, right? So I'm like, I don't have that kind of time to go through hundreds of profiles. So now I'm going to narrow it down even more because I also want them to work for these specific competitors. So when I put in these competitors, as long as I put in like 2 or 3 of them and I don't put in like 10, then what's going to happen is those hundreds of thousands is going to go down to maybe 100,000 or maybe 80,000. So still, I don't have time to go through all those profiles, right? So what I'm going to automatically do is say, and I want them to have this software experience, and I want them to have this number of years of experience, either in the software or in the career as a whole. And then it's going to go down from, 800,000 candidates to maybe 100 candidates. So now maybe I can work with 100, right? I can work with 100. And if I'm really being really aggressive on who I'm looking for, the type of fill I'm trying to have, maybe I'm running out of time to get this fill, then what I'll say is, okay, cool, I'm going to go through 100 of them. But it could be that I'm like, 100's way too many. So I can put in another identifying factor that might take it down to like 50. So then a whole list of folks are going to come up. So me personally, I like to kind of go through and do a quick glance of those folks to make sure that they fit, because a lot of times it will pull up on some of those factors. And me personally, I'm still trying to learn how to use Boolean searches to my great advantage. So I know how to use it really well, but sometimes I still come up with a couple people that maybe used to work for an organization but don't have the experience, or maybe they have the experience but they don't have the industry experience. So maybe they work for a B2B company or B2C company but not a B2B company, and I'm looking for a B2B company type of person, right? If I go through and scan those names and kind of see where we are, then automatically I can say, okay, I'm gonna pull those people out. So what LinkedIn Recruiter will let me do is say, okay, I want to select all of them. I'm literally going to create one message. So I'm going to put in there, hey, hi, so-and-so. I'm going to put in an option to put in their name. The system will automatically put in their name. I've looked at your profile and I see that you meet these experiences, and these are the things that we can offer you, and this is the role that I'm looking for. And this is the link to the job description, and I would love to get to learn more about you. And then I put in my link to say, hey, get on my calendar. And so I love Boolean searches. You as a job searcher should definitely know about Boolean searches, because that's going to tell you how to come up in these searches, right? So to make sure that you come up in these searches, make sure that you're using those applicant tracking words. Make sure that you're describing the type of companies or the industries you've worked for, that you want to continue to work for, that you want to start working for. Make sure that you always put in every little factor about your experience as much as you can out there, because what it'll do is, if I've always had experience in Google Analytics, then all of those people with Google Analytics experience is going to come up. If I was a salesperson, I've always worked with Salesforce, then a whole bunch of Salesforce people will come up, and I will come up in those pools as long as I have that in my profile. So you guys need to definitely use Boolean searches. Use as much words as you can so that you can come up in Boolean searches, because honestly, that's one way to make sure that you're handpicked for a job. By the time a recruiter goes and does a Boolean search to look for you, then they need you. We don't do Boolean searches every day. We like to just post a job and get 300 candidates. And we like to make sure that the majority of them hit what we're looking for. And we like to keep it moving. If we're not able to do that, then Boolean searches is like our next tool that we're going to use either in our applicant tracking system, or we're going to use that in LinkedIn, or we're going to use that in Hire Tool, or we're going to use that in Lead IQ. We're going to use that in those other platforms to kind of find that talent. Because most times whenever you're found in a Boolean search, it's because you're a passive candidate, which means you're kind of open to jobs, but you're not looking. Or it means that you're really actually happy where you are, so you really don't want to go anywhere. So it has to be something that really attracts you to that organization. So I'm going to go through a couple other things for you guys, right? Because I did take some notes and I want to make sure that I don't miss anything, because I want you guys to know how Boolean searches can work in your favor. So with Boolean searches, quotes, whenever a recruiter puts in quotes, that means that they're narrowing their search down. And so that's where you really want to use those applicant tracking words. You really want to use those words from the job description. You really want to use those words where, like, for someone like me who's been in 10 years of HR, I know that companies are really going hard on recruiting. So I'm going to go hard on recruiting. I'm going to go hard on the software I've used for applicant tracking systems. I'm going to go hard on the type of data that I pull and what did I use with those data. So you want to do the same thing whenever you're putting your profile out there as well. And so, and we'll put an and because it adds what is in quotes or the entire list of your search options. And then we'll use or because it limits our search. So and will add to our search, or will limit our search. And then we'll also use not, because sometimes we absolutely want someone that does not have this experience. So let's go back to the B2B, B2C experience, right? And B2B, for those of you who may not be familiar, it is business to business. B2C is business to consumer. So it means that that business is working for or directly to or in benefit of the consumer. For B2B, they're only working with businesses. Businesses are working with businesses. They never really see consumers. They might see business owners. They might work with stakeholders, but they're never going to work with the actual consumer. So when I go out there and I do like that Boolean search with them, maybe I want to make sure that I only get B2B people, because I know that B2C people can use a lot of the same software, a lot of the same language, a lot of the same words are going to come up in their profiles as well. But I really want to make sure that instead of me getting those B2C people, that I'm getting B2B. So I might go ahead and limit the B2C people out by putting in the not factor. And so recruiters will use these Boolean searches to find candidates to fit their search. It's when they're having a hard time finding somebody. They'll also use it to find high quality or high talented team members. So a lot of times I personally have used Boolean searches, particularly for my challenging sales roles, maybe in a country where I'm not really pulling candidates as well. I also may use it for senior level talent, for someone who's a director, someone who is a VP or something like that, because most times they're comfortable where they are. They're already making the big bucks. They're not really looking to move. So I got to find them. And then I have to figure out how I can make my company sound like the place where they should be. So it'll weed down, Boolean searches will also weed down extensive lists of candidates who are just not a fit. And so it kind of brings you down a funnel to the people who actually fit for the job. Y'all, Boolean searches are amazing. For those of you who are looking for a job, make sure to optimize your profiles. For those of you who are working in talent acquisition, or you seek to work in talent acquisition, you really want to work as a recruiter or what have you, then you need to know all about Boolean searches. And I hope that this video helped you. So for those of you who keep returning, I thank you so much for coming back. You know, I always appreciate you coming back. And I always appreciate when you hit the like. I always appreciate when you hit the share, because if you're returning, I'm pretty sure you've done it for me. And if you can, do it on this one as well. For those of you who are new, I hope that you use this video, the information in this video, to help you. And I hope that you found it beneficial to you. So at the end of the day, y'all know my favorite line. I am just so excited to see y'all on the next video.